fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull. When you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. You got Craig and TK and Head that deep, tune in at the fish report.
Coming to you live from Studio F in Russia, Ohio. It's the Fish Report Live Show with your hosts, Craig Fissinger and Ken Francis.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Fish Report Live. Thanks for waking up with us. I'm Craig Fissinger. That is Ken Francis. We're your host. Back in our sound room this morning, it's TK and Heavy D. We'll talk to them a little bit later in the program. And out in Santa's workshop, it's Covey and Kearns. Look forward to talking to those little elves a little bit later in the show. And Ken, the weather outside might be frightful, but the sports talk is so delightful. I just came up with that.
Well, that's good, Craig. You know, happy holidays to all of our listeners out there. Happy Thursday morning, Craig. We're only about 4 or 5 days from Christmas. Hard to believe, but like you said, the action in the gymnasium has been nothing but hot. The weather outside's getting a little colder, Craig. I don't think we're going to have a white Christmas from what they're saying. But, like I said, a lot of good basketball to be played, Craig. Really looking forward to our big interview tonight. Craig, she is one of the top Division IV players in the state of Ohio. She might be one of the top players in Ohio regardless of school size, and that's Courtney Prenger. She led the Minster Wildcats last year to a state championship. She was All-Ohio last year, Craig. She has already signed to play basketball at Division I. Xavier. Go X, Craig. Those Muskie fans, they all hang together, right, Covey, out there in Studio R? Yeah, he's throwing a number 1 sign out there. So anyways, looking forward to talking to Courtney Prenger here on the show just a little bit. Yeah, and she hosts our Russia Raiders this Saturday, so looking forward to talking about that as well, and hopefully maybe even calling that game. We'll see how that goes. But Ken, last week we kind of skipped over talking SCAL boys basketball. Want to talk about that tonight. Let's get right to it. I know it's still early, but things are starting to take shape here a little bit in the standings, aren't they? They are, Craig, and like you said, it's very early. Fort Loamy kind of got off to a late start because of football, so they've had a league game with Russia canceled. Russia also had a big game with Anna canceled. So Russia's sitting there, Craig, only at 1-1 with 2 big league games canceled. But the Anna Rockets, Craig, I think they're established themselves as the front runner. Jackson Center also sitting at 3-0, Craig. Those 2 schools will collide Friday night. And, that game's at Jackson Center. I think that's going to be a great game. Obviously, the winner of that game is going to have a leg up on the rest of the field. But, boy, Craig, as I look at this standings and I look at the teams this year, I just find the Shelby County League so balanced. I look at the schedules, and there's no easy nights. There's really not. Bakken's sitting there, Craig, on 0-5. 0-3 in the Shelby County League. Saw them play last Friday night. This is a dangerous team, Craig. I think they can beat anybody in the league. And, Houston's playing better this year. Fort Loamy, obviously, very strong. Russia Farrell on Friday night. I think that's just going to be a really tough game for both teams. Both teams very talented. Jackson Center, obviously, with Coach Scott Elkert sitting there at 5-1. Kind of a surprise team in the league, I would have to say, would be Jackson Center. They got a couple really nice players, but they've had some big wins this year. And, Craig, the team everybody thought would be good is good, and that's the Anna Rockets. We'll see what happens Friday night when them 2 teams face off. Yeah, we've got our chance to see pretty much all those teams in the league other than Anna and Fairlawn, seeing Fairlawn this Friday night over here at Russia. So it's going to be a lot of fun watching those teams. And I agree with you, top to bottom. First time in a long time you can say that from top to bottom. It's tough to play any one of those teams. It is. They used to be able to look at your schedule and think, okay, I know I'm going to win these 6 league games. Not this year. No. There are no easy nights. Absolutely. All right, well, let's change gears, talk a little girls basketball, and for that we're going to go out to Studio R, check in with Covey and Kearns. And good morning, guys. First question is, Ken just mentioned we got Christmas coming up here in a few days. I want to know, what's the first thing you do on Christmas morning? You guys getting up at the crack of dawn or sleeping in?
Santa comes a little early at the Coverman house. Santa likes to come on Christmas Eve after a nice long drive looking at Christmas lights, and then Santa pops his way through the chimney and puts down the presents, and then we like to go to midnight mass and then go to grandma's the next day.
So you're probably sleeping in. You get it all done on Christmas Eve, it sounds like.
Yep.
Christmas morning. When I was younger, it started a little early, maybe 7, 8 a.m., but that kind of went away. I've started to enjoy sleeping a little more. And it's usually 9 o'clock. We're opening presents together as a family, and throughout the day, either whether we have a party or not, we're just hanging out with each other, enjoying the holiday.
Kearns, I can believe you like sleeping in over there. I've already seen you sleeping during the show on Thursday morning.
6 a.m. stuff. It's getting a little tough for me, but I'm barreling through. Maybe I might be waking up on 6 a.m. this year. 18 years old, waking up that early for my presents.
All right, guys. Well, we want to talk some girls basketball, and we've been touching on the SCAL, the MAC, and the CCC. What do you got for me this week?
Well, there's a very good interconference or conference battle between the SCAL and the MAC this weekend. Saturday, it's taking place in Laramie Gymnasium against Versailles and Fort Laramie. Should be a very good game. I watched Laramie for the first time on 2 days ago on Tuesday night at Laramie. They played New Bremen, which is a team that was riding a 6-game win streak coming in, and they clobbered them 59-34, and they forced 27 New Bremen turnovers with a suffocating defense. Not one senior on this team. Well, their JV team could compete and probably have a plus 500 record in the county, and they're not losing one person next year. They have a lot of good players by the name of Ava Schultes, Dana Rose, Kenny Gephardt, Marissa Meyering, Kenzie Holscher, and you're just not going to mention all of them because there's so many of them, and this might be this is probably the deepest team Carla Siegel's had in her tenure at Laramie, going against a very good Versailles team. Don't be surprised if Laramie wins by, if they play anywhere close to where they played against New Bremen. I wouldn't be surprised if they won by 10, 12 points.
Yeah, the scary thing about that Laramie team is all those names that you mentioned, they're all juniors, maybe a couple of them are sophomores. So having that lethal of a team coming on, what are they right now? They're 6-1, 4-0 overall, pretty much commanding the SCAL so far. And being that young, it just shows how good they are and how good they can be even next year, coming off of probably what's going to be a pretty good season for them. And as well as the Versailles Tigers, they're pretty young. They lost a lot of senior leaders, Ellen Peters, Danielle Winter, and Cammie McEldowney. So it's going to be a great game for them. Both of those, the MAC and SCALs, always great matchups, but I can see Laramie running away with it just with the pure athleticism they have, and Carla Siegel being the amazing coach that she is.
Yeah, and another SCL MAC interaction this weekend. Obviously, Russia Minster will be talking to Courtney Prenger. Ken throwing up that X here on the screen there. But what I consider when Christmas comes around is I think that's the end of the first third of the basketball season, in my opinion. And you really got to know where you're at that point in the season. And that'll be a big telling point for Russia where they're at. They're going to be an underdog coming into this game. No surprise, we know how good Minster is. They met in the regionals the other year. So this will be a big telling point of where Andy Timmerman's team stands right now. I had a nice win over Marion the other night by 20. And they've beaten some teams, but if they could really keep it close with Minster, that will be a big plus for them going into the Christmas holiday.
Yeah, the Raiders dropped two SCAL battles, pretty big ones, one to Laramie and one also to Anna, but then they came back strong, beat Balkans on the road by 10, and then came around and pretty much handled Marion the whole entire night, won by 20, 25 points. And Marion, who took Versailles to overtime, had a 10-point lead twice and blew it, but Marion last year being a 5-18 team coming back and playing Versailles like that, it's an impressive win for the Raiders, and hopefully that they can carry that into Saturday and maybe stir something up Saturday and make something out of nothing.
Yeah, and just a shout out from the CCC. One thing we got out of the CCC is Morgan Haney, the senior over there at Miami East, the guard, just scored her 1,000 points, so congratulations to her. She's committed to the University of Albany. The Great Danes playing in the American East Conference.
Nice.
The American East Conference, the same conference that produced University of Maryland, Baltimore County, that committed the first 16-1 upset here this past March in the NCAA tournament. Not shocked to see that Tri-Village is still standing there. We know what they bring. Covington's 7-1. Russia will play both Covington and Tri-Village there. Used to have Miami East on the schedule. Won't have them anymore. So we'll see some good battles from them. Covington, a team that I can see be likely into the district. Franklin Monroe, they had a huge win over Ansonia the other night. They got a couple nice players there by the name of Audrey Cable and Karina Conley.
Yeah, you said it best there for the CCC. Those two top teams, they're district teams in D4. Russia played Tri-Village last year in the district, and Tri-Village was a phenomenal team last year, played Minster in the regional, gave them a pretty good game, but fell short in coming back this year. They got amazing young players that they could be lethal and they could possibly make a run for it in the regional against the top two teams in D4, which are Lormy and Minster, who are just separated by a couple miles. So the regional is not secured anywhere by the D4 reigning champs Minster. You got Lormy in there, you got Tri-Village in there, and also Covington led by senior leader Sammy Whiteman. It's going to be a battle, no doubt.
Some good girls teams in the area. That's a great report, guys. I talked earlier in the year, I think, our first basketball show that we had this year, how loaded Carlos Siegel's team is. And, I agree. I've got a little connection with that freshman class over there in volleyball and softball and basketball. They're phenomenal athletes, and boy, she's loaded.
Yeah, playing very well, guys, and perhaps maybe putting a little bit of an early target on their back as much as we're talking about them right now. But I know Coach Siegel can keep them grounded, and they're going to be a fun team to watch as the season goes on. Going to be fun to see that matchup against Russia, too, that's for sure.
Yeah, it will be. It will be a fun matchup to see them play again, especially at Russia. I think it'll be a different game when they adjust to the little court size. We know Laramie plays, I think they play college size floor over there at Redskin Gymnasium. And actually, after the Versailles girls play Laramie Saturday, the boys teams play each other. I think we were everyone here on the team was at that game last year. And I'd say that was one of the best high school basketball games I've ever been to in my life. Don't think this year's game will live up to the hype, but it still should be a good game after that. So, heck, if you buy a ticket to the girls' game Saturday, Versailles Armies, you might just want to stay around and watch the game. Maybe Dr. Weichel, maybe he'll be able to let us stay in there. Good buddy from last year.
All right, great stuff, guys. Thanks for that report. Ken, one thing we're used to seeing this time of the year, too, is the holiday tournaments. And next weekend, I know Minster's going to be playing in the annual Bath Holiday Tournament. We were playing in that Piqua Holiday Tournament for all those years. Is that something you miss as a fan?
No, not really, Craig. I kind of like venturing out, playing different teams, and we played in it. Russia played in it for so many years that I think it was time for a change. It was nice because it did get you a couple games on Garbridge Gymnasium's floor. It got the kids playing, but I like playing Minster. We got Minster between Christmas and New Year's this year. That's great competition, and the holidays are such a busy time of the year for everybody, and then to throw a couple basketball games in there on top of it all, it gets a little busy.
Yeah, some good memories, that's for sure, but I'm with you. I like the change after so many years. So, well, listen, we're going to take a short break, but stay right there. When we come back, we're going to talk some more girls basketball, including that big interview with Minster star Courtney Prenger.
In the motherland, and you were born with heart, reason, pride. This is gonna go wrong through your bloodline.
And welcome back to the second half of Fish Report Live. Before the break, we were talking some boys and girls basketball, talked a little MAC basketball. And Ken, it reminded me we were talking about big games that last year, or actually that last season, you and I went to maybe one of the biggest girls basketball games I can ever recall over there at Versailles.
Yeah, Craig, we went over to Versailles, watched the big MAC battle between Minster and Versailles last year. What a game it lived up to be. The Versailles Tigers came away with a big MAC victory. But, just the excitement for a Thursday night girls game. I mean, it was Versailles got big gymnasium, and that thing was 90% full
it was.
for a Thursday night, and it was what an atmosphere. And, they just did it right over there, and the game lived up to its expectations.
Well, there's going to be a rematch again this end of this January. Looking forward to that again. Versailles and Minster, the top two teams we saw in the standings there a little bit ago. And that brings us to our next guest. She is the senior star for the Minster girls basketball program. Last season, she led the Lady Wildcats to the state championship, averaging a team-high 11.8 points per game and 6.5 rebounds. She also recently made her college choice official, signing with the Xavier Musketeers, as we've mentioned already a couple times in the program here. We welcome to the show now Courtney Prenger. Courtney, welcome to Fish Report Live.
Thank you for having me.
Well, listen, we tried to get you on the show here a couple weeks ago and ended up getting a teammate or an AAU teammate of yours instead, Sammy Whiteman over there at Covington. Fun talking to her, but glad we could finally get you on the show. But the reason we couldn't get you was because you were making a trip up north to watch a former teammate of yours play some college basketball. Tell me about that trip a little bit.
Well, sadly, I didn't get to make that road trip. I was homesick with strep. So that was disappointing.
Oh,
but
wow.
the rest of the rest of the girls and the coaches, they still went up, and they really enjoyed watching T play at the next level. So yeah, I will definitely have to find another time or two to go watch my favorite polar bear play since I didn't last time.
And of course, T is Taylor Kogi there, playing up at Ohio Northern right now, and I saw she scored in that game, and sounds like she had a lot of support there from the Minster community. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, listen, your next game is hosting our Russia Raiders coming up this Saturday. I know the following weekend you have the Bath Holiday Tournament. Ken and I just talked about that a little bit. And in between all this time, Courtney, there's Christmas. I know you get some days off school in there as well. How does Coach Wiss keep you girls grounded or keep you from handling all those distractions at this time of year?
Oh, yeah, definitely. He really instills in us the whole, focus on us, forget about the other, stuff going on around us, because our schedule, he told us today, it's about to get much tougher real quick. So, every day we just, every day we get the opportunity to get in the gym together. We have to continue to compete at, a high level, intensity, fast, just game situation, and continue to just work on our weaknesses and build on our strengths.
Courtney, good morning to you. This is Ken Francis. Appreciate you getting up early to join us. Last year, you graduated 5 seniors. That's a lot of senior upperclassmen coming off of a state championship team. And then this year, you simply reload with 7 other seniors, including yourself. Great upperclassmen just leading the way over there. Give us an indication of who of them other seniors are on your team.
Okay, so off the bench, we have Lily Pelletier, Carly Richard, Danielle Barhorse, and Courtney Ernst. And I can't say enough about our bench. Those minutes are crucial for our team. And then our other 2 starters, senior starters, would be Jessica Falk and Damaris Wolf.
Let's talk a little bit about the underclassmen. And you've obviously got 2 great guards over there in Ivy Wolf and Jana Hoyne. They had phenomenal success last year as freshmen. I remember watching the state championship game on television. They both played phenomenal. Explain to us how important they are to your team, but also how much growing up they still have to do as just being sophomores in the Minster program.
They're very crucial to our team. The game will definitely change throughout the years, even throughout this year, their roles and responsibilities. But I'm not too worried about these 2 because throwing it back to state last year, I told the press that I call them Rat 1 and Rat 2. I don't call them all that much anymore, but that's what they are. They're gym rats. And so, like, my advice to them would be to get in the gym, but that's what they constantly do. So they'll constantly continue to develop their game, their skills, and because there's always room for improvement, and their ceilings are very high.
You know, I think Rat 1 and Rat 2 are great names for them, not because they're gym rats, but because they simply are so fast and quick, and they're just running around out there like they're a couple little rats out there just pestering you the whole game.
That too.
Let's talk a little bit about your commitment to Xavier. First of all, congratulations. I've been to Xavier many times. I had a daughter that went to Xavier. They got a beautiful basketball facility over there, the Cintas Center. Tell us, our listeners out there, what was the deciding factor that led Courtney Prenger to sign with the Big East team in Xavier?
Whenever people ask me that, I always jokingly say the X Factor, but in all seriousness, I took my first unofficial visit all the way back in June of 2017, and from that point on, in the back of my head, like, that was always the university I wanted to attend because, like, they have great academics and, like, everyone's friendly. Like you already said, they have beautiful facilities in the Cintas and a beautiful campus, and the staff, it really, really reminds me of the staff that we have here at Minster. And just the fact that I'll have the opportunity to play basketball at another level in the Big East, like I don't know what more, like, I could ask for. Like, it's the perfect fit for me.
Well, Courtney, I think you made a great choice right there. Everything you just said is so true. You know, it's just a first-class operation over there, and I think you'll really enjoy it and, you know, be proud of your commitment there to Xavier.
Thank you.
Courtney, this is Craig again. I want to change gears here a little bit. And, you know, coming up here in a couple weeks, the Minster and the Russia communities are getting together for something very special on December 28th. They're playing a boys basketball game, but that's almost secondary to another reason that they're getting together, coming together to support a Minster student that could really use our help. Can you tell our viewers out there a little bit about what's going on December 28th?
Yeah, so Jackson Hogenkamp, he's a sophomore at Minster, and he's battling cancer. So when the Rishi and Minster boys play on that December 28th, support's going to be shown by both communities by wearing Action Jackson T-shirts that were sold, and like 100% of the proceeds are going to go back to the Hogenkamp family. And donations are also being collected for those like that can't attend the game. And yeah, Jackson's he's been battling hard for a long time. So, like, relentless support from both communities is what he really, truly deserves.
That sounds like great stuff. And, Courtney, I got one more question before we let you go, but another subject here. But about a month and a half ago, I was over at the state cross-country meet, got a chance to watch the Minster Lady Wildcats win their third straight state championship. Pretty awesome stuff right there. And then the Fort Laramie girls actually got runner-up in that race. And then the Fort Laramie boys won their second title in the last 3 years. Pretty amazing stuff there, too. And I don't know if our viewers are all aware of it out there, but your dad, Dennis Prenger, is actually the coach of the Fort Laramie program, heads up both those boys and girls programs. So not only was it a special day for Minster, but it had to be a pretty special day in the Prenger household as well.
Oh, yeah, obviously, it was a very memorable day for my dad and our family because, I mean, we're a part of it too, in the background, you know, but winning a state championship and a state runner-up title in the same day is quite the accomplishment. In fact, yesterday, my dad got a letter, and he got the 2018 Boys Cross Country OATCC Coach of the Year. So
wow.
That's very, very good for him. I'm happy. And so, like, going back to state, though, like, he was just very happy for his program as a whole, and most importantly for his kids. So, but when he got home from state, my dad was pretty much like, well, now it's basketball season. He wasn't riding too high or anything like that. I mean, kids for basketball, like, not only, like, watching my games, but he's a junior high girls coach at Minster, too, so not too, like, you know, gung-ho or, like, overboard on, just one state.
Well, one sport to the next. I know he's a busy guy and very deserving of that award. Glad to hear that. Glad you could tell us that. We weren't aware of that. But Courtney, I know back in the day, you were actually a runner. I remember you running on the junior high course, perhaps even ran your freshman year. Did you miss being out there with your old teammates? Did you want to be out there at the state meet?
Obviously, like I run track too, so I mean I've had the opportunity to run at state for track, but for cross country, I mean no disrespect, but not really. I mean, I decided after my freshman year to spend my fall training for basketball and instead like supporting the cross country teams on those early Saturday morning meets. But yeah, I mean again, obviously it would be an amazing opportunity too, but I also love just going to the state meet, supporting and seeing those girls up there accomplishing what they worked so hard for all season long.
Courtney, well, listen, that's great stuff from Fish Report here. We wish you the best of luck the rest of this year. Great luck, Xavier, there in your college career. And, happy holidays, Merry Christmas to the Prenger family over there. And we appreciate you being on our show this morning.
Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Courtney. And that was senior star and Xavier commit, Courtney Prenger.
Nice interview right there,
Nice
Craig.
interview, a nice girl, and glad we could get her on before she graduated.
That's right.
Well, let's go back to the sound room, check-in with TK and Heavy D. Guys, good morning. Did you happen to see Parasanta was flying over Russia here the other night?
I did. He flew through our back around town for about a half an hour, and then he came swooping through the park, and about 150 kids were out there, and they were chasing him around like he was the Pied Piper. And then he started dropping candy canes, and the place went wild, and kids were rolling in mud. It was just the real Christmas spirit.
That was good stuff. I'm sorry I missed it. I heard the buzzing sound. He was flying over. And actually, I heard he got pretty close to the water tower up there. I know he took some aerial photos that was on the Fish Report website the other day, and I'm sorry I missed it, though.
Yeah, some neat photos.
All right, TK, well, SCAL Star of the Week. What do you got for us?
Well, it was a busy week, as you guys said, in basketball, girls and boys all over the place. A lot of Friday and Saturday games, so it's hard this week to choose. We had Bree Cook at Anna set a school record with 9 3-points in a game for their win up there. Then we had Jenna Cardonner just the other night threw in 23 points against Marion, so I'm balancing that and I'm looking around. But I got to go over to the Houston Wildcats. Brennan Arnold with 8 seconds left in the overtime game, gets the ball, takes it up the court, nails the 8-footer for a 54-53 win at the buzzer, gives Houston a win over Ansonia. So that's got to be my star of the week for a clutch play like that to give the Wildcats a nice victory over Ansonia the other night.
I think it gave them their first win of the season, too, didn't it?
Yes, it did. First win of the season.
First win,
a big win for Houston and over a pretty good Ansonia team.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was good stuff. Good choice with that, TK.
Yep.
Heavy D, what's in the mailbag this week?
Yep, so we dug deep, and this one comes from the Dog Pound Lounge in Sydney, Ohio.
Woof, woof.
The Browns backers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dear Heavy, do you think there's a Christmas miracle left for the Browns to make the playoffs? And that's a great question. First of all, I'm pretty excited for the Browns and their fans this year. They've gone through a lot. Although being a Bengals fan, I think I've endured more, so I'm not quite that sympathetic yet. But checking the Vegas odds, odds are 5,000 to 1 that the Browns will make the playoffs. And for them to do that, they got a little work to do, and they need a little bit of luck. They got to win out last 2 games, and they need to have a tie between the Colts and the Titans, I believe is what the... Yeah, so
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they got to win 2 games, and they need everybody else to lose, and then a tie between the Colts and the Titans for them to clinch a wild card spot in the playoffs.
So you're saying there's a chance?
There is a chance, 5,000 to 1.
That much.
And,
They got a better chance than the Bengals.
We're gonna
because the
shine a
Bengals
little-
have been eliminated.
Shine a little luck on everybody here. You can rub that if you want. Rub his little elfin head, and see what comes out.
I think I'd probably be better off to spend my betting money on Powerball this week than the Browns to make the playoffs. The way it sounds, if I'm hoping for a tie, I think I'm going to spend my money.
Browns
on
almost tied like the first 4 weeks of the year.
That's true. That's true.
It's their season, maybe.
All right, guys, great stuff there. Thanks for that. Good stuff. And with that, it's going to wrap up our show this morning. Do want to say special thanks to Courtney Prenger for joining us. Ken and I and the crew will be taking next week off. Got the annual holiday party for the Fish Report crew, so we don't want to televise that, but we will be back again in 2019. That sounds kind of funny.
Yeah, it does.
But until then, everyone, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Hanging at the Fish Report. 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 For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the Fish Report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull when you tune in to the Fish Report.